Let's embark on another fascinating journey. Here's Lilian Garcia.
Welcome, everybody, to Chasing Glory. So good to have you guys. It's been an amazing week. I want to recap a lot of things that have been happening and get you guys going on our guest today. But first, with me in the booth, we've got the producer of the show, Mr. Sean Gosser.
Hello, Lilian.
Hi.
Thanks. I like the way you said my name today.
Sean Gosser. It has been so, a lot's been going on, which has been great.
You've been
busy.
busy.
A lot of fun. I have been busy, which I love to be busy. I really do.
Better to be busy than bored. That's always my philosophy.
As always, I want to first thank our last week's guest, J.R. Martinez. Couldn't have been more perfect for a 9/11 episode. And just sharing his incredible story. I actually tweeted this. I said, if you don't listen to just like one show, if you only listen to one, Chasing Glory, I don't know why you would do that, but if that's what you want to do, let's please not say that you'll do that. But if you only can, I said, please make that the show you listen to. And the reason why is he was so inspiring, right? It was just so emotional. And I think it was just really great for people to hear his story and to see how a person like that got burned over 34% of his body, how he's been able to get through that and then make something out of it. And he was great. Thank you,
pick
JR.
up the pieces at such a young age. It's just such a difficult journey.
Yeah,
it's admirable.
It is. And that's what we need to hear, these stories. We do, because life is not easy.
For anybody.
And it literally, I think that's what people are starting to find out more and more when they listen to this show. They're starting to find out that people they thought that had the perfect life, there is no such thing. Mm-mm. Like, even when they got to glory, it didn't look the way they thought, or they still were handling other situations. And, it's just an on.
Grass is not always greener.
No, it's not. So I hope that people are actually picking up on that and learning on, ways to cope every day and how to also celebrate when things are good. Celebrate them. And there's always ways, like me. I always say you can find a silver lining in everything. So he found his silver lining. Thank you, JR. Thank you for just your brilliance on the show. Appreciate it. And now today we've got Dev, like a G6. Yep. Remember that song? 4 million downloads. Like, holy moly, that was such a big song. But you know what I think you guys are going to find out? You thought she was popping bottles and she was flying high like a G6 when that song came out? No, she wasn't. There was a lot of stuff that she was going down through, and down with and through things. And yeah, so you're going to hear her Chasing Glory story, what she battled after that. It's been like 5 years or so since she's had a new song.
Oh, this girl's put in work to be where she's at.
Yeah. As a matter of fact, she had her G6 song with the Far East Movement and the Cataracs, and then she had Bass Down Low. I remember that one. So cool. And now she's released her sophomore album. Brand new album. It's called I Only See You When I'm Dreaming. I went to her listening party. It was amazing. So good. And it was just cool to listen to her album that way. So good. Album's awesome. I met some of her producers. It's so good. So her latest single is called All I Want to Do. So I definitely encourage you guys to check it out. And we're going to be airing her Chasing Glory story here in a minute. But first, I want to also thank the WWE for having me back. Last Tuesday, I was actually in Vegas. They flew me to Vegas, and I actually announced the finals of the Mae Young Classic.
Snazzy.
Is the inaugural Mae Young. I actually worked with Mae Young. Like, she literally was in the locker room, like in her 80s, still having a match.
Get it.
This woman was awesome. I think I remember her saying she wanted to have a match when she was 90. I believe she was like, I gotta get this. And I think she ended up getting it. It's crazy what this woman did. It was so hysterical. If you guys want to know who Mae Young was, like, she was one of the pioneers for women wrestling. Just Google her, see some of the videos of her, like, back in the day, and then see some of the videos like her, wrestling when she's like 90 years old. That's what I want to do. Like, I want this woman's spirit when I get older.
I hope to golf when I'm that age, let alone wrestle somebody at that age. That's incredible.
She was telling Vince, she's literally going, I want to go through a table. I want to go, like, use me. Do whatever you want. Literally. She's such a blessing. She went out, like, she just had such a, like, just go. I want to do this. I want to do that. So God bless her. I know that she was probably looking down and so proud at this. 32 women competed from all around the world. And it came down to Kairi Sane and Shayna Baszler, which Shayna comes from the MMA world. And she was from the original 4 horsewomen from MMA world with Ronda Rousey, Marina Shafir, and Jessamine Luke. Yeah. And it was just so cool I actually got to see them at ringside and take a picture. That was awesome.
Cool.
Yeah, Rhonda is everybody always wonders about her. She's so nice. She's been involved in a lot of things with us, and she did something with Stephanie McMahon at one WrestleMania and The Rock, and it was so cool. And yeah, so it was just cool to see Shayna in the whole mix. Now, Kairi Sane actually won from Japan. Congratulations to Kairi. She's had an incredible career already, and I can already see big things for her here in the WWE. So I was, again, just such an honor to actually be asked to be, announcing that classic match in the finals. So thank you to the WWE. Guys, remember to definitely follow me at Lilian Garcia on Instagram and Twitter, and Lilian Garcia official fan page on Facebook. And make sure that you guys subscribe to Apple Podcasts, podcast1.com, or the brand new Podcast One app. And yeah, let's just go for it.
Let's get it.
Let's get it on. Ladies and gentlemen, here is Dev's journey of chasing glory. Before topping the singles charts, Dev was destined to be a star. Born and raised in Tracy, California, Devon Star Tyler knew from an early age she wanted a life in music. It was out of pure love and passion for music that Dev took to her own MySpace page to be the outlet for creating her own music videos, recording cover songs and some songs of her own. It was then she was discovered by the hip-hop duo The Cataracs after she posted a cover of the Amy Winehouse song Blonde Trick, and was soon after signed by the Los Angeles-based record label Indie Pop. In 2010, The Cataracs produced the worldwide hit Like a G6 with Far East Movement featuring Dev, which topped many singles charts, including the U.S. Billboard Hot 100, and went on to sell over 4 million downloads in the United States alone. Later that year, Dev signed with Universal Republic Records, where she released her debut studio album, The Night the Sun Came Up. The success of the album led Dev to collaboration with a number of artists such as Demi Lovato, Timbaland, and David Guetta. On tour, Dev opened for Usher's OMG tour from 2010 to 2011. Also in 2011, Dev added the title of mother to her resume, giving birth to a beautiful baby girl, Amelia Lovely. Dev and Amelia were then the subjects of an MTV special, which delved into her life as a new mother and entertainer at the same time. In 2012, Dev was named Artist to Watch by MTV, and in 2013, she went on to win Best Song at the BMI Pop Music Awards. Dev just recently released her sophomore studio album entitled I Only See You When I'm Dreaming, with the single All I Wanna Do. It's about to get real, raw, and inspiring with Dev. Ladies and gentlemen, in the studio here in Los Angeles, it is Dev. Welcome to Chasing Glory.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Oh, it's so great to have you, especially being here in the studio one-on-one. There's nothing more that I love is to sit down and speak to somebody one-on-one, get to know you. And I got to tell you, when this came around my desk as to getting you as a guest, I'm like, of course. I love singing. I've been singing for years. I want to definitely have another singer on the show, get your whole story. I know your song really well. Who didn't? Who didn't? G6. Like a G6.
It was a good time.
Oh my gosh. I also found out, kind of reading up about you, that you were a swimmer.
I was
a swimmer too.
Really?
Many years.
Oh my gosh, that's awesome.
I got thrown into the swim team. Here's my mother's mentality. I don't know what was going on in her head, but we moved from Spain over to South Carolina, and I'm 9 years. Well, I moved when I was 8, and then when I was 9, all of a sudden she's like, I'm going to put you in the swim team. I know you don't know how to swim, but I'm going to put you
amazing. You'll figure it out.
You'll figure it out.
That's so good,
and
though.
Of course, being 9 years old, you have to swim 2 laps because
For
8
sure.
and under swim 1. So here I am in a meet having to swim 2 laps, and I can't touch the bottom, otherwise I get disqualified. And I end up touching the bottom in my first meet, and I was sitting there crying my eyes out.
Oh, no.
But I ended up in the swim team for like 9 years and then coached.
That is so awesome. And you got to coach.
Is awesome.
It's amazing. It's like, not to be totally corny, but it's really spiritual too, because you're just in your own head. You don't really talk while you're practicing or racing. You know what I mean? It's just like, it's like a one-on-one thing with yourself. So, I swam forever from when I was 5 to I was like 18. And I swam for a bunch of city rec leagues and a U.S. Team as well. I was a U.S. registered athlete.
I love that.
But I swam all the time before school since I was 10 years old at 5 a.m. and then 2 practices after school.
And don't you think that disciplined you?
Oh, 100%.
Right?
It made me who I am today, for sure. No doubt about it. Even though when it was happening, especially when I was really young and I would go to morning practice, I'd have to go to the next town over. So my mom would pack up. She was pregnant, and had my little sister and then me, and she would pack us all up and drive us 20 minutes to the next town at 4 a.m. so I could make it for that practice, and then all the way back so I could start elementary school. So yeah, it definitely taught me a lot. Yeah.
Which I'm sure has helped you so much now, with that, because there's so much discipline that's required in what you're doing.
Yeah.
One of the things that I remember too is, jumping in the water at that time.
Oh, it's the worst. It's the worst. And you're 10 or whatever, even, younger, and you're this is the last thing I want to be doing at 5 a.m. is being
water.
Freezing. Yeah, it's the worst.
And the coach looks at you and is like, all right, give me 40 laps. You're like, what?
Don't stop. Yeah.
Did you ever have to, we actually put on jeans and sweatshirt and swam laps in the jeans and the sweatshirt. And then when they'd say, okay, now take it off.
Totally.
And you're like, whoa, this is easy. I'm flying through the water. This is awesome.
We did do that. I hella remember that. And we even used to wear our sneakers. I remember I used to bring different Chucks or whatever thrash shoes I had at the time, whatever. And we'd swim with all our clothes on.
It's the best training though.
That's so funny. I completely forgot about that. Yeah, we used to swim with our clothes on.
But now think about it. Think about how those moments now, how many times do you not feel like things are weighing on you and they're heavy and you have to swim with all this pressure, swim through life, as I say. But that prepared you. You were able to go, okay, I got to wear this, but I'm going to keep moving forward.
Yeah.
So take us back. First of all, you were actually born in California.
I was, yeah.
Here?
I was born in Tracy, California. Up near San Francisco, an hour and a half outside San Francisco.
Gotcha. How was that for you? How was...
I liked where I grew up. I have a really close, tight-knit family. I have 2 younger sisters, and my parents, we were close growing up. So it was fun for us. My dad worked in San Francisco and in the East Bay. He commuted every morning and every night. He was a commercial painter. He worked his butt off for us. We were just talking about it yesterday, actually, with him. Just how much he sacrificed in his work for me and my sisters to have the things that we had growing up. But that's cool for me, as an adult now, and I have a daughter, I put that to my work, and my parents always worked and I would help with my sisters. And so, we kind of always had each other's backs, which was really cool. I like where I grew up. I definitely, once I got into high school, was like, okay, I'm bored. Now I need to start spreading my wings. So I would hang out a lot in the Bay Area, in Berkeley and Oakland and San Francisco. And that's where I kind of started all of my music.
So what did it mean for you? First of all, when you're speaking about your dad, what did it mean for you to have that sacrifice, to see him sacrifice so much for you? Did you take it for granted at first, and now you look back and you go, oh, he actually did something really pretty cool?
You want to know what's funny? I don't know if it's because I'm the oldest sibling, and my age difference is 5 years with my middle sister and 8 with my youngest. I don't think I appreciated it, and I understood what it was, and I respected them for that, because like I said, I was able to have the things that I had, and I still did the things that, I wanted to. I was able to swim and afford these things, which was really nice. I definitely helped watch my sisters a lot, but like I said, they're my best friends. So it was never, we were talking about that yesterday too. It never felt like I was babysitting or whatever, you know what I mean? We would hang out. So, it was never something that I look back and say, oh, I wish he wouldn't have missed this holiday or whatever, because when my dad and my mom were home, from work, they made it known that they were home, and we were by the pool or we were barbecuing. We didn't have the most money in the world, but like they were present in my life, which I appreciated, because I definitely was the oldest, and at one point even like a little wild and pushed them, but they were present in my life the whole time. And I'm really grateful for that.
Yeah. And can you see how much, have you ever had other friends that didn't have that presence of their parents?
100%.
And you see the difference?
Yeah, I do, which is crazy. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because you don't think, especially as a young kid, like you said, like, did you take it for granted? I definitely remember having really, really close friends that didn't have that support or that sort of, that family, lifestyle and closeness. And now when I look back, I'm like, God, it really does make a difference, you know? Yeah, it does. Even if you can't have both parents, even if it's just one, or maybe it's not even a parent, it's a grandparent or a friend's parent, but not having that sort of unit, I think it really can change someone, you know? Yeah.
Which I think you can see then why people stress so much about the parents being involved. Mm-hmm. And I know that sometimes kids are like, whatever. Mom, dad, yada, yada. I'm motioning with my hands.
That's exactly what they do.
All I see you do is this, and I want you to do this. And that means they just, but it's true. Give your parents a break. Mm-hmm. Give them a chance. They're trying. And the thing is, especially if they're present, that's already a lot.
It's a lot. It's crazy. And I'll never forget when I first had my daughter, I called my mom, because at that point they didn't, my family ended up moving down to LA to help me with my daughter and help me raise her. But before they had moved, they were still up in Northern California. And I remember I called her and I was like, I'm so sorry for everything I ever put you through, or anytime we ever got in a dumb argument, it didn't mean anything, because it's so hard to raise kids. And there really isn't, like people always say, there's no rule book and there's no guidelines. There's no manual. Yeah. So, but I am grateful. When I look back, I'm like, me and my parents are still very close now. We basically live together. So yeah, I'm fortunate for my family. Yeah. And like, even when I first started touring, my dad went with me for the whole 2 weeks. I took off work at Old Navy, and he was like, I'll go with you and I'll drive you and your friends and I'll be there to support you. I was 18 years old, and so he was there with me the whole time, which was really great.
I want to touch on that. So how this whole craziness started with MySpace. Does that even exist anymore?
So I wish it came back. I know. It would be so fun. I had such a cool MySpace page. It'd be so fun. Yeah. But yeah,
I remember at one point Justin Timberlake had
I know. They were going to do a whole reunion.
Yeah, I have no idea whatever happened with that. We have to probably investigate.
Yeah.
But so tell me, so you're in school, like you said, you're like, are you getting along with the other girls? I mean, did you get any bullying or anything like that?
I never went through any bullying. Me personally, no. So I think, I never really had to deal too much with that. I had close girlfriends, but I was always a lot closer with boys that I was friends with since childhood. But yeah, I had a couple different groups of friends that I was close to. Yeah, for the most part, when I wasn't swimming and stuff, we would hang out. Yeah.
Do you think some of it was that you were so disciplined with the swimming, you were just like, okay, I just want to run free and just play?
That I was so funny. I was talking about that yesterday too. Yeah, I think that did happen. I think it hit a point when I was probably 16. The age when I was like, oh, I just want to play, like you said. And, I had been swimming for so long and kind of already, having to be responsible for something for so long. So I think at that age was probably the first time I still swam, but it definitely wasn't to my best that I could have done. And I specifically remember that year I was kind of more going through the motions with it. And when I look back, I like kind of kick myself, but I definitely needed to have those experiences and to learn from them, you know. But that was probably the first time where I was like, okay, I want to just like try other things. And I remember I told my swim coach, like, I'm going to do music. I'm not going to swim. And he's like, what are you talking about? Oh, he's like, what do you mean? You know, he like came to my house and he's like, he's like to my parents, like, what are you guys talking about? This is like, sounds crazy, which is funny because he's like a friend of mine now. We like talk on Facebook and stuff. But, yeah, I kind of was just going through this like weird shift. Maybe I was a little younger. I don't know, whatever. I was like around that age and I was just kind of going through this shift. I'd studied music in school. I was always in band and in choir and, you know, different classes like that. So yeah, I think it just got to a point where I was like, it felt like if I didn't, I would kick myself in the butt later if I didn't try, you know. Yeah, it was probably like around that age, I think, when I really wanted to focus on music.
And so how did you get the whole thing started? I
still swam for the last 2 years of high school. And at that point, I had a lot of friends making music, like in my hometown. And so I would just like, a lot of my friends like rapped or, you know, produced and made beats and stuff. So I would just like sing on hooks with them or, you know, hang out with them in sort of that process. And then I got a MacBook for my graduation as a graduation present. Yeah. And I just pulled up GarageBand and I remember I covered like an Amy Winehouse song and like, which was hilarious because our voices couldn't be any polar opposite. But
that's okay. You put your own spin on it.
Totally. Yeah. She's like one of my favorites. So I covered like Amy Winehouse song and, wrote this like diss song about this girl that like dated my ex-boyfriend and like just a bunch of things like that and put them up online. And at that,
I love that though. Hang on a second because look what came out of it.
When I like
see at that moment when you guys broke up and she dated, you were like, oh, totally. I can't believe this is happening. But thank God she did that.
100%. Oh, my life wouldn't be, no, for sure. No, it's
got the biggest
so
revenge. The biggest revenge. I love it. Okay.
No, totally. It's so funny now looking back. I'm like, yes.
Yes. Thank you.
Yeah. Totally. But like, so yeah, I threw a bunch of songs up on MySpace, and at that point in time, the Cataracs were like really bubbling in the East Bay. They were just out of high school. They're a couple years older than me, so maybe they're out of high school for a couple years, putting out projects, kind of doing this whole like social media kind of like call in the stations for us, very much what people do now, but you know, this was a while ago, call in the stations for us or like send in your favorite like lyric, blah, blah, whatever. And I just remember I commented and was like, oh, I really enjoy your guys' music. So stoked that you guys are getting this. It was like a super basic thing. And then they hit me back and were like, oh, your voice is really cool. Like on these, it wasn't even like, I wasn't even meaning for that to happen. They're like, oh, your voice is really cool. We should make music together. And it was like as simple as that. I drove out to Berkeley probably the next week or the next day or whatever. And we made a couple records together, made a song called Tonight, which ended up getting some like dance radio play in San Francisco. We did like a bunch of shows there in the Bay together. Played the Regency Ballroom was my first show. We opened for Cascade. What? I literally like cried after I got off stage just because like my adrenaline, I was so nervous.
Yeah, I bet. I mean, for that to be your first gig.
I was so nervous, and I'll never forget. I like went in the bathroom. My mom's like, my parents were there, of course.
Yeah,
they're
supporting you.
And my mom's like, why are you crying? And I'm like, I don't even know why I'm crying. I'm just like, I just had so much like like my adrenaline was just lit, you know.
Girl, I totally know.
It's crazy.
Yeah, because I remember I actually got to sing in Iraq, and it was with all the soldiers around. I did the national anthem, and I'll never forget.
I just got chills.
No, it was crazy, and it was we left there, and we were staying at Saddam Hussein's palace. Crazy. I remember going to the back and then just crying my eyes out because of the emotion that I had felt on stage.
It's crazy.
It is, and you can't really describe it. You have to go through it.
Yeah, it's an insane feeling, but when you can feel that, it's really special.
Oh, it's so special, right? It's real.
It's really real.
Mm-hmm. All right, so you're on stage, and then you continue to perform.
Yeah, we just, at that point, I was working at Old Navy in Manteca, and I asked if I could take a month off, and my manager was like, "What are you talking about? Like, what do you mean? Like, who even you work at Old Navy? What do you mean you're taking a month off? Like, what are you doing?"
This is almost like your swim coach saying, "What?"
Totally, yeah. And I was like, "Just please, 100%." I'm like, "Please, just give me a month. I'll be back. I'm not like quitting. Like, I worked my butt off at Old Navy too, so they knew I was like a good employee. So I was like, I would do even like 3 to 12 in the morning, like logistics shifts and stuff. I'm like, please, just give me a month. I'll be right back." They're like, "Okay, cool." So in that month, I went with the Cataracs and this rap group called The Pack. And we kind of went and did like a West Coast run all the way up. We stopped at a bunch of spots in California and went all the way up to like Seattle and back and hit even like Oregon and stuff like that, back all the way down to Southern California. And that was the trip that my dad got to come on with me, which was really cool. And he helped drive, and there was a lot of us. There's a lot of us kids. Our friends would even come. So it was cool to have like him as like, we're all going to be safe somehow. We'll all like survive this month, but it was cool. Like I said, I was probably 18, 19. And those were my first experiences on stage and sort of like a venue setting like that. Which, I was nervous every single time. It was crazy when I looked back.
Well, it just means you care.
Oh, yeah.
I always tell people, it's okay to be nervous. Yeah. It's all right. Don't get nervous to the point where you can't, perform.
No, for sure.
But nervous to the point where it shows you care and you're just going to put your best foot forward.
Yeah. And at that point, when I was working at Old Navy, I was also going to junior college in Stockton. And I remember being like, "Mom, I have to take school off." And she was like, "Why? Like, you cannot take school off. Like, what are you talking about?" And that was like one thing since I was a kid. My parents were like, "You're always going to finish college," because my parents didn't finish college. So it was like one thing as the oldest. They're like, "You have to go to college. I don't care how you do it. You have to do it." So like to me, I was like, when I had to tell them like I need to take school off, they were like, "Devin, like, what are you talking about?" And I was like, "I promise, if I don't try this, I'm going to kick myself in the butt." Like, if I don't who has opportunities like this? Like, no one. And so I will never forget, my mom goes, "Okay, you have 5 years. You have 5 years.
Wow, she gave you a lot of time.
She did, which I think it was because also at that point they had saw how much I was serious about it when I did, go on the road and just thug it out and kind of already do these performances and the songs that we did have, even though they weren't the biggest at the time, they were still, there was something special, even the little airplay that it got. And so she goes, "You have 5 years. I will let you try this. I'll let you move. I'll let you do whatever. But in those 5 years, like if it doesn't work out, you have to come back and go to school." And I was like, "Deal." Because I was like 19. So I was like, "Cool, deal." So then, long story short, me and the Cataracs ended up moving to LA together in this loft, and we were broke. Like, we couldn't, I remember at one point, me and Niles, we couldn't even like buy a hamburger. We were like, let's find change and we'll share a burger from In-N-Out and just ask for water cups, And we I think that's a summer we made like a G6, which is hilarious.
Oh my God.
Yeah. And so just like all these crazy things. And we made, the year later, I think we made probably like Bass Down Low and, things like that. And the year after we made In the Dark. So it was just kind of this thing where I was like, all right, I'm going to do this. There were so many times when I wanted to leave LA.
You did?
I'll never forget. I took a bus. I don't even think anybody knows this. I don't even know if my fiance knows this. I took a bus to like, what do you call it? It's like Buffalo Exchange or like, what's the other one? Crossroads? Yeah. I forget which one it was, but I took like a bag of clothes and I'm like, cool, if I take this bus from downtown LA to the Hollywood location and I turn this bag of clothes in, this bag of clothes will get me, this far and I won't have to like ask my parents for money. At that point, the recession was happening and like, all this crazy stuff. So I'm like, cool, I won't have to bug anybody. I get there. I could like cry thinking about it because I get there. I went through all this stuff in like crazy Hollywood. I didn't even know where I was. It was like my first year being here. And I turned the clothes in and she's like, you can either, she's like, give us 30 minutes. They go through the clothes. Yeah. I come back and she's like, you can either get a t-shirt or you can have $15. And I call my dad and I'm like, I need to come home.
Oh, no.
Like, I can't do this. And I don't want to ask you and Mom for money. And I have little sisters and blah. And my dad goes, you're staying. You're not, I could like cry. He's like, you're not allowed to come home. And I was like, oh my God. Like he had my back so much. It was like, he went on the road with me and all this stuff. It's so funny because I don't even think I barely even remember that story. So then like, I didn't come home. I'll never forget. And I went back to the loft. And then like, that next summer we made just so many great songs, me and the Cataracs together. which is hilarious because we were so broke. We would like fight over if someone ate someone's cereal. Like, you know, we didn't have anything.
Yeah.
And then we just stuck together and we just kept thugging it out. And I did as many shows, and Elisa probably remembers this because Elisa knew me. My manager, Elisa, is here with us. She's known me since before I was even signed to Republic for any of these records. So she's known me since I was like 20 years old. Mm-hmm. But like, I would just beg people, please just let me do a show here at the Purple Lounge and in the Standard, please. I'll do anything for free. And so I was just doing 100 million shows I could for free, even if they were for 10 minutes. And I try to do everything.
Yeah. You can't, if you're really passionate about something, you can't make it about money.
Oh God, no.
You can't, or you will never succeed.
And I did so many weird shows. Oh my God, like everywhere I could. Rooftop pool parties at like 11 in the morning, and I'm up there like booty bounce, like, you know, and people were like drinking a mimosa. Like, what is she doing? She's doing the most right now. And I just did it until, you know, it took about a year and a half before G6 really started to catch on. People I think it was just like a weird texture of a song at that time, and it took a minute, you know, and then finally when it started catching steam, and I would do another show. Then I would catch steam and I would do another show. And I went on tour with Jeffree Star in like November 2010.
Oh, he's cool.
Yeah, and I did all these shows with him, which was really cool. He brought me on tour. And then G6 just kind of continued to grow and become this really special thing. And then it was like, hold on for dear life. Yeah. You know what I mean? But it was really special. I got to experience, you know, I traveled a bunch. I met Elisa, my manager. I got signed to Republic, which was at the time a really cool experience for me. And like, I learned so much from everybody at Republic. I really did.
Yeah, that's with Monty Littman, right?
Yeah,
yeah, that's who I was signed with.
Yeah, even though it didn't end up, you know, working out in a sense, I think for me in that time, it was really cool to be signed to them. Mm-hmm. You know, it was a cool experience. So then I kept touring, and eventually, you know, I went to Costa Rica for a month and recorded my own debut album, because at that point we were like, cool, we have a signing budget. Let's go to Costa Rica. Like, just the same, just like ignorant, just kids, you know, and we were like, cool, let's just pop tags and go to Costa Rica. But it was fun. And so we went there, recorded my whole album, Made in the Dark.
Before we go there, because I don't want to like just glaze over that G6 success, because how were you able to handle the transition of people not knowing you? Mm-hmm. You're not even, don't even have enough money for a burger. Yeah. You know, you're trying to sell your clothes, all these things. You're doing all these shows that you can, and then all of a sudden G6 starts taking off. And I mean, it took off like a G6. Yeah. Like, seriously.
That's so good.
It really did. How is that how do you make that transition? Now people know you. Mm-hmm. It's just so big that you're making money. How do you handle that?
It was wild, but it was everything that I wanted when I was doing those shows for free. When I sacrificed swimming, when I sacrificed college, when I left my job, that like no one could even get jobs at that point. It was so hard to get a job, especially in my hometown. And I like sacrificed the little, you know, what I had then, and left my family, left my sisters. And to me, when G6 started taking off, I was like, this is what I'm supposed to be doing and where I'm supposed to be, you know? And it just felt right. And it's funny, going back to what you're saying about the discipline with swimming, like, touring is no joke, you know, especially when you tour with like a bunch of other people. Or I always toured, like, I thugged it out. I was balling on a budget too, you know what I mean? I wanted to get the most, but also not have to do the most, you know? So it's like figuring out that balance was crazy. I was always with a handful of other people and boys and, you know, the Cataracs, and literally I would just be in like a van and just thug it out, you know, and just go around and do what I could. But all of those, you know, waking up at, you know, doing a club show, from doing a venue show, doing like a radio lounge, then doing a club show till 3 a.m. and waking up at 4 and catching a flight at 5 to be in the next bar. Like, even though I was like, it was clubs and it was music, it was just like what I used to have to do with swimming. And it was like, oh, I'll be up at 5. I don't care. I'll sleep in these clothes and show up at that next show in these clothes, you know? Yeah. And I would do that because I was like, this is exactly where I'm supposed to be. And it felt really fun. And I'll never forget my fiance, who's also the father of my daughter. I used to always try to get him to like me. I used to bug him so bad. He's like 7 years older than me. So when I first met him, I was always like, oh, we should be together. You should love me. And then when like G6 started popping off, he was like, Devin, from across the street, I just heard your song on the radio. Congrats. And I was like, bye. Yeah. It only lasted for like a month, but I did. I was like, bye. So like now I always tease him, like, remember when you finally liked me when G6 started doing good? It's so funny. But yeah, I think like, yeah, I knew G6 was going to be a once in a lifetime moment. It's hard to even get a #1 record, let alone something that goes platinum like that. So I just knew I had to celebrate it. I never wanted that to be, something that scared me. And I also didn't want to take it for granted. So I tried my best to just like be like in the moment, and celebrate as much as I could. I brought my family everywhere. I took them to Miami once, and my fiance Jimmy came too. That's when I was doing this still. I was like, bye. Yeah. But like everyone was there, and I'll never forget, like it was such a special moment for me. I was everybody that I loved, and I had to sacrifice things. We're in the same hotel at the pool, and it was because I believed in what I wanted to do. Mm-hmm. It was like this really cool moment. So I try to just hold on, I guess.
But what I love about that story too is that you didn't forget who helped you along the way.
Yeah, no.
You wanted him there.
It was special.
Like, it wasn't like, I did this on my own.
Totally.
I got this. And that's
nice.
why I tell people all the time, like, you can't do this on your own. Nothing can be on your own, really.
No.
Even somebody who writes a book gets edited. You get the
100%.
editor that helps you out. You've got the promoter, anything like that.
I could have never had those experiences if it wasn't for all of those stars aligning and all of those people aligning at that time in my life. That song wasn't just me. It was also the Cataracs. It was also the Far East Movement. It was my management team. It was Elisa. It was everybody at Republic. It was just a special moment. It was my family. It was everything, Mm-hmm. I tried to make sure everybody had a good time as much as they could.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So what happens after that? I mean, does it start? Did you get scared before you guys dropped the second single? Did you guys get scared like, oh my God, is this going to be a one-hit wonder?
You want to know what's funny? I never considered yes and no. I always knew that was such a particular moment. You can never do those again. Yeah. You know what I mean? You can never, as much as you even try to manipulate a situation,
recreate that.
You can't, exactly. You can't recreate that moment. So in my head, I was, success is so subjective. And to me, I'm just grateful that I'm here and I'm not back doing what I was doing before I moved. So like, even regardless if a song is ever G6 again or it's not, I just always knew like I get to go in the studio for 8 hours a day, then go do a show. And then like I have whatever days off I want. I make music for a living to pay my bills. Like that's fake. I'm from Manteca, California. That's fake. You know what I mean? Like nobody gets to do that. They have to have probably side hustles and all these other things. So to me, did I ever think G6 would probably be my one moment? Yeah, so many times. But I was so proud of that because a lot of people don't get to experience that, like, especially where I'm from. You know what I mean? They don't get to even come close to having a G6. So I'm like, I'll take it, even if it's the only time that I ever have a song that goes, 8 times platinum or whatever. 9, sorry. No, but like, to me, like, I'll take it, and I'm just grateful for that happening in my life, and I'm not saying that it was easy. I was after G6, making my album and having my baby. And I was in a lawsuit for 1.5 years with my management team. I don't speak to the Cataracs anymore. Like I went through it, Yeah. But for me, that was that special, that moment in time, like no one can ever take from me.
No, I absolutely, and I always say you have to celebrate the moment.
Oh yeah.
It is. It is all about that.
You're listening to Chasing Glory with Lilian Garcia.
Guys, I hope you're enjoying this amazing show and amazing interview. But first, there's something about TrueCar that a lot of people don't know. Using TrueCar can also help you buy a used car. That's right. In fact, there's over 700,000 pre-owned vehicles available from TrueCar certified dealers nationwide. Whether you're looking to buy new or used, you can get upfront pricing information that empowers, discounts off the list price for used cars, and a better buying experience through a TrueCar certified dealer network. There's over 700,000 pre-owned vehicles available from TrueCar certified dealers nationwide. That's right. You'll see what other people paid for the car that you want, so that you know what the fair price is and you feel confident. There is nothing better than that. And with TrueCar, you can connect with a local certified dealer of your choosing so you can enjoy a quick, easy buying experience. Using TrueCar, you can easily find the new or used car that you want. So just a reminder, TrueCar via TrueCar Pricing Curve will show you what other people in your area paid for the same car that you're looking for. Now that's fair. Now you know what a fair price is, so you can feel confident. Once you register, you'll see the real price on actual inventory. This is competitive pricing offered to you only by a TrueCar certified dealer for an actual vehicle on their lot. It's pricing that you'll see before going to a dealership, so you can feel confident when you show up. There is nothing more empowering than that. TrueCar shows their customers all of their available incentives before they arrive at the dealership. And remember, there's over 300 million cars that have been sold to TrueCar users by the TrueCar Certified Dealer Network. And again, there are over 13,000 TrueCar certified dealers nationwide. I can't stress this enough. So when you're ready to buy a new or a used car, visit TrueCar to enjoy a more confident buying experience. Some features not available in all states.
Now back to Chasing Glory with Lilian Garcia.
Before we get to your baby, because that was a surprise.
Yeah, it sure was.
Can you talk about what happened with, because this show is all about going through talking about the struggles and the obstacles and all that. Can you talk about what happened with your management team?
I can, to an extent. We just didn't see eye to eye about a lot of things that we should have during that time.
How hard was that for you?
It sucked. They were my best friends. And I don't want to speak for them like it didn't suck for them too that we were in the lawsuit, because I'm sure it did. It's like a divorce. It sucks for everybody involved, And I'm sure we both could say a lot about each other, but at the end of the day, I loved them and they loved me, and like even one of them, I lived with one of my managers even for a little bit of the time with the Cataracs. So we were all really close. We were all really young too, and I just think that I wouldn't take any of what I had to go through with the law. Like I would never take that away. I would never say like, I wish I'd never did music because I went through this lawsuit. Like I would redo all of that again,
What did you learn from going through that? The whole lawsuit process?
I think, probably to trust myself a little bit more and to be careful about who I trust. I wish I could go into detail more, but like for respect purposes and legal purposes, I can't really. Yeah. But I wish I would have listened to my gut a little bit, but at the same time, I was having to do that with all the music stuff, so I kind of had to go through that. Yeah. G6 wouldn't have happened if I would have separated from them before. Right. Which sucks to say that it was like a catch-22, but it almost was, and I think now I'm a lot more. Sometimes I feel like almost too guarded, though, which kind of might suck.
You know what? That's what happens. Yeah. Isn't it something? It's like you get burned, and then all of a sudden, everybody, in front of you has to pay for what. Well,
that's what. Yeah, I'm almost like a little too guarded. But when I met Elisa, who's my manager now, she worked at Republic and also was really good friends with my old management team. So it was awkward for everybody. It was awkward for my relationship with Republic. It was awkward for me and the Cataracs. It was awkward for my family because they were like, oh, we all live together almost, you know what I mean? So it was kind of this weird thing. So, but luckily my relationship with Elisa is so close. So, you know, with her, just knowing her for as long as I have and her transparency with me, it's nice having that because then I don't have to come off as guarded because she's kind of like a buffer, you know. She'll be like, oh, this person's means this or means that, you know, which is great. There just wasn't, there was no transparency before, you know, and that sucked. It did.
How about silver lining? I always think everything has a silver lining. What would you say was a silver lining from that moment?
I think
going through that.
I appreciated, it made me appreciate what I do even more. Because there are so many trials and tribulations in the music industry, in any industry, but in the music industry. And even though it wasn't easy for me getting to like a G6, I think going through the lawsuit made me appreciate my relationship with Elisa, made me appreciate G6, made me appreciate how special and how difficult it really is to have big records or whatever big records means to, you know, to different people. Yeah, it just made me appreciate my family a lot more. And even, you know, my fiance I met through my old managers, which is hilarious.
There's a huge
lining. So like that was we always kind of joke. I'm like, Lisa got you out of it, lucky me. You know? No, but like I think I grew up really fast in that lawsuit, you know, for sure. I was 23 or 22. Yeah, 22, 23. And it was the same time that I had my daughter. I was going through my lawsuit and she was super sick. Wow. And so I lived in the hospital and literally a limo would pick me up from UCLA, take me to a show, bring me back. And then I'd be like on the phone dealing with lawyer stuff. And, you know, it was crazy and it was nuts. Yeah.
Wow. So when did you become pregnant?
Well, technically I became pregnant. I'm looking at my manager, like she knows my April, I don't know, the spring of 2011.
So were you in the middle though of the whole tour, the promotion, all of that?
Yeah, we were finishing up my debut album, which is kind of funny because by the time I had her, my debut album was basically out. But it was cool. Well, it was cool in a sense of, even though she went through a lot of complications, once my album was out and I did my first tour bus tour on my own, I got to bring her, which was like really cool. Yeah.
That's great.
But it was insane. Like when it was happening, Elisa would always tell me like different spiritual things to do and like try to be, and I'm like, what is she talking about? I'm fine. I was such a mess, like just in my head, you know, responsible for so many things, for my family at that point. You know, my daughter was so sick that I was going to have an in-house nurse live with us. So instead, my family's like, we'll leave everything. Your sisters will leave school. We'll start fresh in LA so that you can tour and Jimmy can, you know, do his thing and we'll start fresh. So my family sacrificed a lot too. My sisters were in 8th grade and one was just graduating high school. So they basically like moved down to Los Angeles and I got us all a big house together and we like just thugged it out. We all lived under one roof and I would tour and they would help me with Amelia, which was really nice. So I didn't have to have a nurse live with us.
What was wrong with her, if you don't mind me asking?
She was born with a condition called gastroschisis. So all of her intestines were on the outside of her body when she was born. Yeah, which was really insane. And they told me when I was 12 weeks pregnant, which was so insane because I toured until I was basically 7 months pregnant and I couldn't really tell anybody that she was sick. So I had a high risk pregnancy while I was touring and a lot of people didn't know that. So all the shows I ever did in the Middle East and in Brazil and all that stuff, like I knew she was sick the whole time.
And it was okay for you to fly?
It was. I was on like, I had to be careful and I knew the things to watch for and I had to have sort of like, my doctors had to clear things and I had to give like a decent time in between, but I felt healthy. I would have known, you know, if I had to stop. And I was really fortunate for that because I did feel good during my pregnancy. But I knew that she was really sick. And I found out on my birthday. It sucked. It was so terrible. I went to Vegas, me and my fiance, and I had a club show. Yes, I did clubs while I was pregnant. And and Jimmy's like, I have something to tell you. Oh, and the look on his face, I was like, what? And he was like, the doctor called. Oh, I could cry. And I was like, oh my God. I thought like the worst, you know? And he was like, something's wrong with the baby. Oh my God. it killed me. It killed me so bad. And I was so young. And oh my God. And then I'm like, oh my God. So then Jimmy's like, she has gastroschisis. Like, it's going to be a high risk pregnancy. And the rate of her living and, her life after she's born, like, there was just so many things that I had to go through that people don't know about. And, sorry. I don't
Please don't apologize. Don't. It's okay.
I didn't want to talk about either. You know, it was really hard for me.
Yeah.
When she was born, she was basically on life support for the first couple months. She couldn't breathe on her own. She got 3 blood transfusions and 7 surgeries. She had an ostomy bag for her first 2 years of life. And I didn't want to tell people that either. Even when we shot the MTV documentary, which I had so much fun doing, I kept a lot of it private because I was like, if she grows up with all these health complications, I want it to be her choice to tell people or express her body. I don't want to just be like, yeah, my daughter has an ostomy bag, and not saying that's anything to be ashamed about, but that's her body, you know? And so a lot of those things I didn't tell people. And so it was really, really crazy. And I was going through the lawsuit at the same time. So it was so insane.
Wow.
But
talk about an obstacle.
Oh my God, it was so insane. And it was coming off the height of everything with G6 and even in the dark. It was such a crazy learning experience for me. It was so crazy.
Because here people are thinking you're just out partying.
Oh my God, it was so crazy.
They had no idea what's going on in the back.
Yeah.
Can you tell me, you were pregnant, now how old exactly were you?
I was 22 when I had my daughter.
So were you pregnant during 21? Or
yeah,
yes.
I shot the In the Dark video when I was pregnant.
Wow.
Just kind of funny because I'm basically half naked. Sorry, Amelia.
So what I want to know is, first of all, somebody in that position, a lot of times now, when it's a surprise like that, you guys, weren't married, you're in the height of your career. Some people have made the decision to
Oh yeah, I'm sure people thought I was absolutely insane for doing that. But
for keeping her.
100%.
Why did you keep her?
I knew it. It was just another intuitive thing. I might not listen to myself all the time, but I did listen to myself then, and I knew it, and I just knew I knew she was supposed to be in my life.
Yeah.
I knew me and Jimmy. That's my fiance's name. I love him with all my heart, and I always knew the reason why I loved him so much is because of his family and his morals. Going back to what we were talking about even before, his parents, I love them. They sacrificed so much for him. Same thing. So I always loved him because of that. So I always knew I was going to be with him forever, even if that sounds maybe naive in the moment because I was really young. When I look back, I'm like, what was I even, when I told people that, I must sound so crazy. But I knew, and even if it didn't work out, I knew we were going to be friends forever, you know? But I always in my heart know that we'll be together. He's the only one that puts up with me in life. And so I knew we'll be together forever, hopefully.
I love the choice that you made.
And I just did it. And I knew that I was going to learn from her. And I've learned so much from her. Oh my gosh, as a mother, being 22 and living in the NICU, you really learn how precious life is. And all those other things, they just become things, you know? And I would have never learned. The lawsuit taught me a lot, yes, and even living with the cataracts and having G6 and all of these things, but that moment is so particular. And I saw her go through so many things and overcome them, and now she's she's crazy now. She's super hyper. She doesn't have to be on any dietary restrictions.
Really?
She doesn't have her ostomy bag anymore. Her stomach works now and her bowels and everything, which is great. And
wow, that's amazing.
She's overcome. We'll have hiccups every now and then, have to go stay in the hospital, but it's nothing like it was when she was born. And she overcame so much. And I think to me, they say gastroschisis is common in young mothers. That's just their thing. They're it only, for the majority of the time, it happens in young moms.
Wow.
I tried doing all this research about maybe the area where I'm from. Maybe it was in the crops or the food or the water. I tried doing all this stuff to try to figure out. I was perfectly healthy then, and so was my fiance. He was running the LA Marathon. We were vibing. I was working a lot, and so yeah, I tried, researching all these things, and they're like, no, it's just in young mothers. So, that to me, being 22 years old and knowing that I was well off enough, especially at that moment, to take care of someone who needed that. We were meant to be for each other, You know, I had the ability to have this daughter and give her stuff and, you know, good insurance, and those things are, you know, important in those situations. And I had the means to take care of her. And, I knew we were meant for each other in that moment, and, you know, and forever, but especially, you know, in life. Yeah. It was just a gut thing, I guess.
How old is she now?
She's 5. She'll be 6 in December. Mm-hmm.
What a blessing.
Yeah.
Like in the small
Thank you.
package.
Yeah.
Your story. Oh my gosh. It's so
Thanks.
incredible.
It's been crazy for sure, but thank you.
So did you have to take a break then? You took a break, right, in between?
Well, when I had her?
Yeah. And then, you know, going into your sophomore album now.
Well, technically, okay, so I'll rewind a little bit. So after I stopped performing, I was like 7 months. I technically had to stop performing, obviously, because at that point they're like, she's too high risk. You can't be jumping around and on an airplane. Mm-hmm. So I did take a couple months off then until the top of the year. It was Christmas time anyway, so until top of 2012, basically. So I probably took like 3 months off or 4 months off. But when I was in the hospital, the only way I could kind of get through the day was my fiance and I would run like 5 miles a day. It was like the only way I could not cry every day. So I ended up being in like even better shape after I had her than I ever was, which is hilarious. But so then I went right back on the road. That's when I did my my tour for my debut album was then. And then for that whole year in 2012 to 2013, that's when she was Amelia was going through the most, a lot of surgeries and stuff then, in and out of staying at the hospital and being home. But I still toured a lot. I did a lot of touring like overseas and stuff like that. We traveled a bunch then, which was nice, but I was still kind of going through it, you know, with her stuff. And then I was in the studio a bunch, but nothing was really clicking for me. Nothing like felt right at the time. And I didn't want to force any songs because I felt all the records on my debut album were so specific to me that I didn't really want to force a record just for the sake of having it out if I could just keep touring. So I was like, cool, I'm just going to keep doing as many shows as I can. So I basically did that till, end of 2013. 2014 is when I kind of really got back into the studio and things kind of started. I was like, you know what? I just want to go back out on the road and just keep having fun. So I put out 2 EPs, 2014 and 15, right? Yeah. God, it's so crazy. It's so weird talking about all this. This timeline is just so bizarre. But yeah, so I ended up putting out 2 EPs in 2014 and 15, went back out on the road. And I think at that point, seeing all the kids that still came out to the shows, even though it was a few years later, a few years after, in the dark. And, Amelia was okay then. And everything had kind of come to this, like, I could breathe moment. Yeah. So when we went back out on the road, and seeing all the kids that did come, and it was an independent, put it all out, you know, on our own, me and my manager, and sort of just went back out on the road, and seeing everybody that still came and had a good time really just gave me sort of like I was inspired again. It sort of gave me this boost to kind of just keep going. So I just kept doing shows. I had the opportunity to work at Beats One for a little bit, which was really cool, and learn a bunch of stuff there. And I just kept working, got back in the studio. And I think over the past 2 years is really when things... Wait, what are we doing? Yeah, is really when things started kind of clicking over again. I was able to make music that I'd made before. Not saying that they're the same, but saying that my vibe, my mind was in a similar space. You know, it's hard to go on stage and be like, everybody party and jump up and down and dance and feel sexy, when I couldn't even look at myself in the mirror. I couldn't even talk to people, literally. I would be so scared to talk to people because I just didn't even want to I knew I wasn't myself, you know, so it was such a weird time for me. So then when I finally, over the past couple of years, I was able to get back in the studio and kind of make these songs that were empowering to me and fun and even kind of ratchet sometimes and sexy. And it just felt good again. And I was like, this is me. And these are the songs I like to make. So when I go and do shows, these kids feel this way. They feel good, you know, and it's when when you do a show, it's like we were talking about earlier, you give off so much, but you're also getting so much. Mm-hmm. It's like a dance, you know? Yeah. And so it's I had to get to a point where it just felt, I couldn't fake it before. I just had to wait till it felt right and it was honest. And that's basically where I am now.
Yeah, that's a good lesson, because I tell people, especially when you're writing music, you can't force it. You really can't. You can't just
I even tried to force it, and it's just like, it was so
fun,
bad. No,
right?
it was terrible. Yeah. It was really awkward, and I tried my best to even just be like, all right, maybe this person knows more than me in this moment, and I'll learn from this. So whatever, I'll trust this moment of us working together, and who knows, maybe it'll be. And then I'm like, oh God, that's so awkward. It's not right. And it's like a gift and a curse. I'm just one of those artists where I think people, they can just tell, they can tell when I'm faking it. And at least like my fans, they'll be like, what is this? Like, what are you trying to do? Know? And so, I had to wait till it felt right. I did.
So what is the next move then? This is it. Like you've put it all out already, right?
Yeah, it's about to be out on Friday. Weird. I know. I'm like, oh my God, this year's going by so fast.
Actually, we're going to, Sean, I want you to cut this, okay?
Oh, because when is this airing?
We don't know when this is going to air.
Okay.
Probably
so then I'll say
in October sometime.
Oh, okay, cool.
So I'll just say it just dropped.
Okay.
When is it dropping? This Friday?
This Friday.
So what's the date?
The 8th, yeah.
It'll drop on the 8th.
Yeah, September 8th.
Cool. All right. So your record dropped on September the 8th. That's impossible. Oh, it is September the 8th.
Yeah.
Okay.
Isn't it? No, it's weird. I just got the dates mixed up too. I'm like, it's so weird.
So your record dropped September the 8th.
Yes.
What does that mean to you?
Everything. It's like every emotion. It's just like the first time, but different. With my first album, it's every emotion. I'm so happy to finally be in a better space. I'm so proud that, I'm doing all of this project independently. So I don't have like an A&R, or I don't have people like sending me all these things. And it was really just me and my manager kind of just navigating through it together and just being like, this song's cool. Or she'd be like, you sound crazy on this, or what are you doing? Which is cool. So yeah, it's almost even a little more personal in that sense, which is great. And it's all myself this time. The first album was it was with me and the Cataracs. So even though it was all me, it was us three.
Right.
So it's a little scarier in that sense. I don't really, I always could kind of lean on them in a way. If people judged things, I could be like, well, me and the Cataracs, I guess, so who cares? So I can't really do that anymore. I'm like, I don't know. I like it. So does my manager. I don't know. But I'm really proud of it. It feels good, and I think it's kind of scary to be doing, the sophomore album independently instead of opposite, the debut independently and the sophomore,
Yeah.
But I just want this project to be liked by all those kids that still hit me on Twitter and Instagram and come to the shows and, ask how my family's doing and all that. This project is for them, for like sticking by my side over the years and through all the ebbs and flows and ups and downs. And, if they like it, then I'll be really happy. And I just want this album to get me, to the next album.
Yeah. Did you write a lot about things that you'd gone through? Like, did you get personal on it?
I did in a sense. The project's called I Only See You When I'm Dreamin', and it's about someone that I used to be really close to that I don't speak to anymore. And when I was in the studio going through the process of making all these songs, I kept having these really weird, vivid dreams where I'd kind of wake up and be like, wait, I'm here. Like, where am I? Because the dreams were so real.
Wow.
And it was like I was almost back in all of those situations. I was back in Costa Rica, and I was, back in all these places. And, my past kept coming up and in cool ways, nothing like too weird. But, and so it was so trippy. Like when I was doing this project that kept happening, or I would go into the studio and make a song that had nothing to do with my dream. And then I would go back and that song would bring some, it was so insane.
Wow.
So it was like this really weird process. Like someone even said like, oh, it sounds like a detox. I'm like, yeah, it kind of was. But, it was really, really weird. But I do touch on a lot of stuff, from my past. Yeah. For sure. Yeah. I try, and I wanted it to still feel, fun because I'm so happy to finally be in a better space. So even though some of the songs are a little, like sassy or whatever, they still represent, moments from my past. Yeah.
But it seems like you're in a place where you're wanting to have some fun.
Oh, 100%. I'm like, I'm ready to go. You know what I mean? And I never realized like I said earlier, I never even realized that I felt all of those, that like weight of the stress, of the heaviness. I didn't realize it until this past year when I started feeling so good putting this album together, you know? And it's so crazy because now I'm like, okay, my daughter's good. My family's good. I bought a house. It's good. Everything's okay. Now I can just like go and have fun again. You know what I mean? Which is great. So yeah, I'm ready to go.
Guess what you're doing? You're taking off the jeans.
Yeah, 100%.
You're taking off the sweatshirt.
No, I am. It's so crazy. It's so insane. Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah, so
15 years later and it's happening again.
You're going to be flying through that water, flying through life now, through this record. So excited for you.
Thank you.
And so excited that your daughter is doing much better.
Thanks.
Oh my gosh.
Thanks.
You and your fiance, like, how are you guys thinking about marriage at all? Does that scare you?
It's so crazy. Like, it's to us, it's like we're already married because we've just been through so much together since I first met him. Like, I met him actually on the very first music video shoot I ever shot. He came and like brought beer and was like, "Hi, nice to meet you."
Aww,
yeah,
that's great.
So I've basically known him since I first started all of this, since before I had anything, you know. And so it's kind of like we're already married. But we've planned like 5 weddings and they just haven't happened yet. His family's on the East Coast and mine's on the West Coast, so it's kind of hard. Yeah. But we'll, you know, one day, maybe when we're older, we'll see. We'll be like 70. We'll have a party. We'll have a house party. I'm always like, let's just have a house party, please, and just get married at the house.
Yeah, right?
Yeah, so we'll see.
Or you can have 2 weddings like I did.
Totally. Wait, did you really do that? Did you like it?
I did. And
you
we had 2 anniversaries, and you know what's great? If you forget one, you've got the other one.
Oh my gosh. Okay, I might copy you for that because I'm always like, should we do that, or is that crazy to have like a wedding in Philly and a wedding in Los Angeles?
I had one in Orlando at Disney World.
Oh my gosh.
And then the other one in New York City.
That's amazing.
So it's great.
That's great.
And they're just a couple weeks apart.
That's so great.
It works perfect.
I might copy you then. There it is.
There it is.
Problem solved.
That is. There's always a solution.
Totally.
You just got to think outside the box.
No, 2 weddings. I'm down. I'm down.
2 special days. Well, I can't, again, thank you so much. I just wish nothing but success for you.
Thank you.
You are such a delight. And that's what I love that you shared, that you were so open, as we say here, real, raw, and inspiring. You have been inspiring. And I just, now I know that all of us are going to be cheering for you.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Yes, and I want to go to your concert. You got to tell me when you're around here.
Oh, I will.
Please.
It'll be fun.
Front,
yeah.
Please, front stage. Do you think I can talk your manager into that? Front row, please.
We'll make it happen.
So I can be a definite be a fan. I love that. All right. Where do we find you on social media?
On Twitter. They're really classy social media handles. On Twitter, it's Dev is Hot. Facebook's Dev is Hot. And Instagram is Dev es Caliente.
Caliente. And do you speak Spanish?
I don't. My dad's side of the family is Mexican and my mom's side of the family is Portuguese. So they both speak their languages fluently. But I was too stubborn growing up. Now I regret it. I'm like, why didn't I listen to my grandparents?
Yeah.
Why? You know?
Yeah.
But
actually, I thank my mom all the time for speaking Spanish
oh
to
my
me.
gosh.
I'm like, gracias.
They're always like, we told you were going to grow up. I'm like, story of my life. You know, we told you. Yeah.
All right. Well, thanks so much.
Thank you.
Awesome time.
Thanks.
All right. There you have it. Oh my God, I love her voice.
I know.
Isn't her voice like, it just has that rasp in it?
I mean, you wouldn't expect it because she's singing usually or performing, but you don't hear it until she talks. But yeah, she sounds so cute.
I always wondered about that because whenever I get a little raspy voice, I cannot sing. Like it's called I'm sick. But yeah, oh my God, her story is incredible. And I sure hope that she gets married and with 2 dates. Like that would be so cool.
You're setting a new standard, Lilian.
Yes. Well,
men men everywhere are taking notice. You got 2 weddings to plan for now. Watch out.
You know what's so cool is like right after that interview, it was really neat that she just immediately, it was like a couple days later that she invited me to the listening party. She actually invited you too, but you had other things.
Yes, I was traveling.
Yes. But no, it was really neat. And so we just wish you the best, Dev. You're incredible. And she's just, oh, by the way, I met her little girl. I melted, especially
Amelia Lovely. I love her middle name.
Lovely. Especially after hearing her story and the struggle that she had of, just living Literally, that little girl had such a struggle of just living. And now she was just running around and playing, and it was just beautiful. And I was just so happy to see it. And I felt very connected just because I had heard her story. So it was so cool. Anyway, hope you guys enjoyed that. Remember to visit me on Lilian Garcia, or I should say at Lilian Garcia. Can't forget that. Instagram and Twitter, and Lilian Garcia official fan page on Facebook. Make sure that you guys subscribe to Apple Podcast and rate, and review. Those are really important. For some reason, they really do help the show a lot.
Tell us what you think.
So tell us what you think. Give us a 5 stars, please, and help us out. And check us out at podcast1.com or the brand new Podcast One app. That's it for this show, but let me tell you about next week. Because we're going to go from an entertainer. Like I said, we're not just doing wrestlers. We're not just doing entertainers. We're doing other athletes, too. And this time, we have somebody from the baseball world.
We got a ball player.
You love baseball.
Love it.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
That's your thing.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, I do, too. I actually sang for the Chicago Cubs. I sang the national anthem. And I sang for the Dodgers games.
Awesome.
So cool. Yeah. So anyway, we have an incredible Chasing Glory story. I don't even know this is just big time. Adam Greenberg. It's phenomenal what you guys are about to hear. It's crazy is what it is.
Oh, it's Chasing Glory at its absolute finest.
At its best. The guy, just to give you a little teaser, the guy actually finally gets his dream of being in the majors. He gets signed by the Chicago Cubs. He steps up to plate, and he goes for the pitch, or I should say in your
takes the first pitch, yep.
There we go. Takes the first pitch, 92 miles per hour fastball, and where does it go? Doesn't go towards his bat. It goes towards the back of his head. Yikes. The back of his head. Not on the helmet. No. His head.
Yep. So, they teach you in baseball to look away, and that's usually the proper training, but it happened to just miss the helmet and got him right in the back of the head.
He suffered a concussion. He suffered then, a skull fracture. He's then got diagnosed with vertigo, and the story doesn't stop there. So you guys are going to have to listen to this next week to get the full scope, but trust me, this is powerful.
And look, lots of athletes tried their journey of making it, and especially baseball players. There's hundreds of baseball, but just a little piece of, for you baseball fans out there, this guy's a career 320 hitter.
Yeah.
And was the first player in Connecticut history to be selected to 4 all-state teams for high school sports. So this guy is an athlete.
Yeah.
This guy was going to make it.
Yes.
And he was also a base stealer. He was like a 25, 35 bases a year kind of a guy. So incredible athlete, incredible story.
And such a nice guy.
Such a nice
guy. So listen to what happened next week and how we overcame that. And also, he got another at-bat. So check it all out. Okay, so check us out next week. Make sure that in the meantime, much peace, love, and passion. And remember to always be yourself and trust that it's enough.